Okay, so recording has started and now I'll share my screen again. Okay, so is my screen visible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So let's start with our first session on prior programming experience track. So what do we mean by prior programming experience? So this track is basically for the person or the programmers who have basic knowledge of any kind of programming language. Okay, so you don't need to have you have some experience about any in-depth experience about any language or any technology, but if you know basic programming then you can get started with this track. Okay, and also welcome back and congratulations to those who have completed the first track, that is our new to programming track. And it was not that much easy, but yes, you have made it till here, and that's a big thing, because completing 4 to 500 applications and earning those badges wasn't easy at all, right? Okay, and before starting the session or going through the topics, I would like to reintroduce to the Study Jams program and also mention some of the main points, such as like how you can earn those badges and how you will be eligible for the certification. Okay, so here is the website of Android Study Jams. Here you can see, and below that we have two tracks. In this session, we are going to focus on this prior programming experience track, and previously we have covered this new to programming track. But to be eligible for the certification, you have to complete both these tracks and on total of 16 badges. Okay, and submit it using we will circulate a Google form regarding those images or proof you will send to us. Basically it will be screenshots, nothing else. Okay, and then your profile must contain 16 badges, and before 25 you have to submit the form, and then we will issue your certificates. So I'll show you. In the new to programming track, there were two units, and now Google recently added the third unit. Okay, but don't worry, you don't have to complete the third unit, as because when the Study Jams program started, there were only the unit 1 and unit 2 available. So there in total are 6 badges. Okay, here you can see 4 in unit 1 and 2 badges in unit 2. So you have to complete these units. Okay, and you have to earn 6 badges from the first track. Okay, remember 6 badges from the first track, and then in the prior programming experience track. Okay, let me sign in first so I can show you, and also I will show you my developer profile, as I have already completed the Study Jams program. Okay, moving on to the prior programming experience track. So here you can see there are unit 1 and unit 2. You need to complete both of these unit and to earn this total 10 badges. So in total 6 badges from the track 1 and 10 badges from the track 2. You have to earn each and every badge. Okay, total of 16 badges to be eligible for the certification of participating in Android Study Jams. Okay, and the certificate will be from DSC PDPU. Okay, so anyone has any doubt regarding this certification and badges till now? Okay, I prefer there is no queries. Okay, so starting with the prior programming experience track. Okay, so our main objective is to learn the Kotlin programming language and also to get familiar with Android using Kotlin. Okay, so because now the Android is Kotlin first, and the prerequisites are programming experience in OP language. For those who have already completed the track one, will be knowing some of the OOP concepts using Kotlin, or if you have any OP language experience like Python, Java, or any other, it is, it works and comfortable with using any of IDE. Okay, and if you are familiar with navigating the GitHub, because in Android study jams there are several code labs in many of the pathways. So in code labs at the end, when you are developing an application, the code labs also has a link to a GitHub, that is the solution code in case if you fail to develop the application, and there are many errors in your application. So you can download the code from the GitHub, and also you can compare the codes and solve the errors, or else you can learn from them too. Okay, and computer and internet connection, and Android device or USB cable are optional, because if your hardware supports the emulator, Android emulator, then it works. But if it doesn't support, then you can go for an Android device and USB cable to connect with your Android Studio. So this is our today's schedule, and moving on, we'll see the first part in the prior programming experience track for those who want to learn the Kotlin in depth. Okay, so Kotlin cons. So what are Kotlin cons? Okay, moving on, I will show you. Okay, here is the Kotlin cons button before the start course button. So what is exactly the Kotlin cons? Kotlin cons is a series of exercise, okay, to get familiar with the Kotlin syntax. Okay, so if you want to practice the Kotlin more and more, and if you want to deep dive into the Kotlin world, so you can. There are some of the programs. Okay, let me show you. Okay, here are some programs. What you have to do, you have to go to some of this, main topics, and you can solve. These programs will be unsolved. Okay, so you have to solve each and every programs here, and then you can simply run the program. Or else, if you are stuck somewhere, then you can go to this show answer button, which is inverted, and then the output is displayed here. Okay, and also some of the description for this particular problem statement are also given here, so you can understand what you have to implement in the following program. Okay, so Kotlin cons are not compulsory. It is only for those if you want to exercise more and more or practice more and more Kotlin, just to get familiar with it. Okay, so it is not some compulsory criteria for the certification or even the study jams program. Okay, so yes, just like I said, you can work on these topics, and then here is the interface I just showed you. Okay, and also you want to if you don't have any offline ID or something, you can go to the Kotlin playground website. Just search the keyword Kotlin playground, and it will display you an online IDE that will compile your code on the website itself, and you can easily code out any stuff you want. Okay, and yes, again, for those who haven't started yet with the Android Study Jams program, go to this link and get started with the Android Study Jams program. Okay, and then create a developer profile. Okay, let me show you my developer profile first, so you will get an idea. Okay, how to open your developer profile. First, I'll teach you that. So here you can see there is a setting symbol, and you can click on the Google developer profile, and it will open a page just like this, which is in a beta version. Okay, and then you sign in using the same account you have uh, registered for the Android Study Jams program. Okay, we are signed in, and here you can see your badges. Okay, Just a second, it will take some time to load. Okay, so here you can see it is my developer profile and all of my details. And I have, you know, remove from, I have favorited some of these badges. And yes, here are some badges. I have total of 26 badges, but you will be having, after completing Android study jams, you will be having total, in total 16 or 17 to 18 badges. But what you have to keep in mind, 6 badges from the first track and 10 badges from the second track. Okay, and then you will have to submit a screenshot of this page. Okay, you can, if you are using desktop or PC, just simply download any plugin or extension which will help you to capturing a screenshot very easily of the entire page, and you can submit that jpg or png into the form that will be circulating after completion of the total sessions. Okay, so tomorrow we'll be also having our last session on the prior programming track. Okay, so here you can see there are many badges, just like you have to on each and every badge in order to complete the program. Okay, okay, so here is the, just I showed you the prior programming experience track, and then uh, we will get started with it. Okay, moving on to the unit 1. So what does the unit 1 consist of? Let me show you. So in unit 1 and unit 2 both comprises of advanced concepts like data binding, live data, view model. Those are the components of Android architecture component, uh, which I will explain in a bit second. Okay, here you can see there are five, total in five activities you have to complete. Okay, and you have to submit the quiz, then you will earn the particular badges. Okay, so in unit 1 and unit 2, there are many applications you have to go through, and using the concepts that I will demonstrate now in a second. In that, using those concepts, you have to build many applications, and also some of the concepts or code labs may be repeated from the track 1. So don't worry, you have to, if you have already completed the track 1, then you will also easily complete in the track 2 also. Some of the things will be repeated. Okay, and at last you will be making many good applications. Also we will be using the advanced concepts with networking, and you will fetch some of the stuff from the API, and at last you will be making a GDG finder application. Okay, which will be your final project for completing this study jams. Okay. Okay, so if you are starting with the Kotlin cons and you have any doubt or errors or queries, then you can contact me, Krish, or Mihir. Okay, and our contact details are also shared within the mail. Okay, so let's start with the Android fundamentals. Okay, yes. So the first unit and the second unit both covers the Kotlin fundamentals and Android fundamentals, also with the advanced concepts. Okay, and in unit 1, this will 1, 2 and 3 will form the first pathway, and 4 and 5 will form the second pathway. Okay, so a pathway looks like this. Let me show you. Okay, let's say uh, we'll go to this first activity. Yes, so this is a pathway. Okay, and in that pathway, here there is a button named Take Code Lab, and it will open a code lab. Okay, so this is basically a smaller code lab. In future activities, you will see many long code labs, as it will teach you how to write particular function or how to implement particular functionality in the projects you will be building in the study jams course. Okay, so this is a particular code lab, and at last in the pathway there is a quiz. Okay, so you have to complete the quiz in order to earn this badge. Okay. Okay, so yes, let's get started. So what is Android architecture components? Okay, so Android architecture components are collection of libraries. So basically, Android architecture components is formed of many different libraries for different purpose, and that helps you to design robust, testable, and maintainable apps. So what do we mean by robust, testable, and maintainable apps? Okay, till now, if you have developed any Android application, whether in this program or yeah, if you are practicing on your own, I can tell you like you won't be working on an industry level project or application, because when you are building an application in an MNC, let's say a person is working in an MNC and he is an Android developer, and let's say he wanted to build an application for the company's customer. Okay, and then what they will do, like they won't be their coding pattern, then their coding styles will be totally different. Okay, because whenever a prototype of an application is made, it is in the first stage, and if the customer demands some changes, okay, then what you will do, they have to extend some of the functionalities to an extreme level. Okay, in that case, some of the beginner programmers won't be able to do that, because they don't know what Android architecture component has means what is Android architecture components. Okay, because they don't know many of the different libraries or different coding structures or architectures that will form a foundation for an application to be much more flexible and maintainable. Okay, so whenever you build an application, always keep the design patterns and also the coding patterns in mind, such that your application can be extensible. If you want to extend your application with some more functionalities and more features, you have to work using some of specialized libraries, and with special libraries there comes some new advanced concepts. Okay, so basically we will see what is Android architecture component. Android architecture component is a part of Jetpack Compose. Okay, so Jetpack Compose has many different parts. You can see architecture is one of the part which we'll be studying in this. Some of the concepts we'll be covering in the Android Study Jams program. And for UI, there are many different other libraries and concepts available for behavior, for notification, permission, download manager, media, and playback are basically used for if you are building an music application, then you will be using such libraries. And here is the foundation. Okay, App Compact, Android KTK. You might not have heard about these libraries or concepts, but architecture is the most used component of the Android Jetpack. Okay, so Android Jetpack is a collection of different libraries, okay, all together of architecture, UI, foundation, and behavior. And we will start with our data binding, and then we will go to the view model, and at last we will be seeing our live data. Okay, so these are the concepts which will make you a pro Android application developer, because a beginner level developer never uses this kind of concepts or libraries. Okay, because this type of libraries are only used when you are building a huge project or a such a large project on a large scale. Okay, so we will first start with our first concept, that is data binding. So what is data binding library? A data binding library is a support library that allows you to bind UI components in your layouts. Okay, so till now we all know that we bind the UI components. Let's say in our Android application, I have a text view or a button. So in our Java, in our Kotlin or Java code, what we all do, we write find view by ID r.id dot particular ID name of that component. Okay, so what it does, it references to the layout view, that is the view in our main activity or a layout, and it will reference the particular view, and then we can set on click listener methods and other methods on that particular view. Okay, so what this data binding library does, it disconnects, or you can say it disconnects the whole process flow of using the find view by id. So instead of using find view by id each and every time, okay, because there isn't disadvantage of using find view by id. Whenever your application reloads, or whenever if you have studied the android life cycle, okay, android application life cycle, there are some stages like on pause, on destroy, on resume. So each and every time whenever an activity is regenerated or started for the first time, the find view by id will code the code particular code will get executed each and every time. So whenever you are building such large application, your application needs to be so fast that it doesn't lags, okay. So if you are building an application of 14 to 15 screens, it's not a big application, okay. But when you are developing some huge application, you have to keep in mind that your ui and other things are not are coded in such a way that your application is so fast. Okay, so data binding is a library which will I will show you, I will explain you more with the example so you can understand the concept easily. So it eliminates the use of find view by id. Instead, it gives a way such that we don't have to the run the same code again and again, and we will handle the other we will handle the button press or button, you can say on click listeners, by using by declaring the data and variables in the layout file itself, okay. So we'll understand it with an example. So here is my android studio, and just not to waste the time, I have already created a fresh project, okay. And I will code each and every the data binding library, how to implement it, and I will also explain you how it works with an example. Okay. So is my android studio visible?
Yes, yes.
Okay, okay. Okay, so here it is a fresh project, okay, and I'll open the UI file, and I hope you guys have to install the Android Studio. So if you won't be practicing these concepts, then you will never master it, okay. So please make sure you have installed the Android Studio. Okay, so here is a text view. I will just delete it. Okay. Okay, so first I will take two text views. Okay, and then we will apply constraints. Okay, you can also provide the constraints from by using programming syntax, or you can also use this attributes column. Okay, okay, let's name it first name, or let's say name text. Okay, the id is given, and we will change it to name text. And just for temporary purpose, I will write in my name, and then let's name it age text. Okay, I'll prefer to write it in camel casing, and then I'll provide text. Okay, and we'll also constrain it using the code constraint top to bottom of. Okay, we will constrain it to the name text. Okay, and then layout constraint start to the start of name text, and we'll also apply the end to end of name text. Okay. Okay, bottom to the top of. Okay. But it should not be like that. Okay, let's rewrite this constraint. Constraint parent. Okay. So here you can see we have created two text. One is my name, another is my age. And let's make it somewhat bigger and we'll change its color. So black color, and let's define text size up to 18 sp. Okay, no, I need to. Okay, now it's clearly visible. Okay, and same goes for this text view. Okay, and let's give a little margin top 20 dp. Okay, so now it's clearly visible. Okay, so what by the traditional way, what we do, if we want to bind this text views, okay, in our Kotlin file. So basically what we'll do, we'll create first variables var. Okay, text. Okay, okay, let's create it inside the onCreate function. Okay. And next we will also take a variable of age text, and we'll define its type, that is it is of type text view. Okay, so traditionally what we do, like we take the variable and then we use the find view by id method. Okay, yes, and then we just reference the our text view of id named name text, and we pass the reference of this text view into the variable name text of type text view. Okay, so whenever your application closes or whenever your application is in background, what happens each and every time, this code will be executed again and again. So instead of doing this, what we'll do, we'll use the data binding library, which will help us to bind this particular text views in such a way that this code, we won't be needing to call this code again and again, which will result our application such that our application will be somewhat faster, but we won't be comparing any benchmarks or other thing, because it is just a small application and it won't affect, but we need to understand the concept. Okay, so for that we have to use the data binding library. Okay, so we'll go to the our build.gradle file of the module. Okay, not of the project but of the module level, that is our app level, which has each and every dependencies. Okay, and here what we have to do, we have to write. Okay, let me show you. Okay, in our Android, this Android hierarchy, we have to write build features, and we have to enable the data binding first. Okay, so by default in each and every project, our data binding is by default disabled, but by going to build features, and we have to write data binding, and then true. True indicates that data binding is enabled for this project. Okay. So to implement data binding in an activity, what we have to do, we have to declare a layout tag, and we have to wrap this full activity into that layout tag. Okay. So first we'll make changes in our layout file. I will declare the layout tag. Okay. And the closing tag will go at the bottom. And then we will copy this URLs from the constraint layout, and then we'll paste it out in the layout tag. Okay. And then what we have to do, we will be declaring variables here. Okay. Inside the layout tag, between the layout tag and the constraint layout tag, we will declare the data tag. Okay. So in data, inside the data tag, we will be declaring our variables. Okay. So first, before declaring variables, we will create. Okay. Okay. So first we will remove this, and then we will create our data binding object. Okay, let me give a access modifier private late init. Late init means it will initialize the particular variable after some time. Okay. The word itself suggests late init variable. Then let me name it main activity binding of type. Okay. Just a second. Okay. And okay. So whenever you enable the data binding from here, by default, you won't be seeing here, but by default, Android Studio adds activity main binding class for you. Okay. And activity main binding will be created for means if your activity's name is main activity, then it will create the particular class that is activity main binding by itself. And here we have created private late init var of a variable name main activity binding of type activity main binding. Okay. So basically we have created our we have declare our variable of data binding type, and then we will initialize it by set content view. Okay. We will first copy, and then we will use our variable first to initialize the data binding equals to data binding utils. Okay. Util dot set content view, and then we have to pass in a parameter of context of this particular application, or we can say context of this activity. Okay, so we have initialized our data binding object of this particular activity. Okay, and now, okay, now I will create a data class. Okay, so what is data class or Pojo class, which will temporarily store my data. Okay, so we have by using the hard coded string, we have mentioned the name and the age. Okay, and now we will display the name and age by using our data class. So to create a data class, we'll go to new, and yes, friends, don't go to the Java class. Please see that we have to create a Kotlin class. Okay, and I will name it my name. Okay, okay, it is created, and then I will name it data, and I will pass some parameters. So by default it will create some variables when the constructor of this class will call. Okay, so to know this data class, what is data class, and how to write, or how to code a class, you need to have some basic knowledge of the OOP. Okay, so I will name my variable name of type string. Okay, and then age of type string. Okay, because we don't want any numerical operations with our age, so I'm declaring it of type string. Okay, so our data class is ready. Here you can see we have to the Kotlin provides another good functionality. When you want to create a Pojo class, you don't have to use the getters and setters methods, or you don't have to write much line of code. By using single line of code and by mentioning this data variable, you can easily achieve the Pojo class or the data class. Okay, so our data class is ready, and now we will mention some variables. Okay, so always remember, before creating a variable, it will ask you for its type. So in the type, we will mention our the data class that is of my name. Okay, and here we will first mention our data class. Okay, and now you can name your variable anything you want to, but I will name the variable same as our name of class. Okay, so just not to remember any other name. Okay, and now we will connect our variable in the layout file. Okay, this is of a variable my name of type my name class. Okay, and we will connect it to our main activity using our object. Okay, dot set. Okay, dot my name. Here you can see, let me show you again. Here you can see the first suggestion, that is your my name. Okay, why it is showing the my name? Because we have named our variable. Okay, my name. Instead of here, let me name it cat, and then showing error, and it will see. So we are binding our uh, Kotlin file to the layout file in such a way that we will load this text from this data class into our UI directly. Okay, so the application flows in such a way, we are initializing our data binding object, and then we are connecting the variables. Okay, we have created a data tag. Inside it we have created some variables, and we will connect those variables, and in the text, this property, if you want to write for data binding, if you want to mention the variable, okay, then we have to use. and percent and brackets, and inside it we have to mention like cat dot name. Okay, so we can access the variable of type my name, and then we can access our variables that are name and age, which are inside our data class. So what it will do, first we will initialize our data binding object, then we will connect our variables of the UI, and then using data class we will load the text or any other data from the data class into our layout file. Okay, so what it does, it restricts the UI controller to load the data again and again, instead of we are using the data class here to load only when required. Okay, so let's change the name first, which was my name. So cat is not such a good name for a variable, and yes, we will connect it in a second. Okay, so first we will mention the data which will be connecting our data class and the UI. Okay, and then we will load the data from the main activity into the data class, and data class will load the data into the activity file, that is our UI file. Okay, dot age. Okay, my name dot age. So here we have mentioned my name dot name and my name dot age. Okay, it is in smaller case. Okay, yes, it was in the smaller case, but here we have declared the uppercase. It will automatically convert into, when you are declaring those variables into your UI, you have to name it in the lowercase. So now we will initialize the object for our data class, and then we will pass the data into our data class object. Okay, so for that also I will declare it private latent var, and my name, let's make it camel case of type my name, and we will pass data at the time of declaring the variable only. So my name, and then we'll specify, let's say Android, no, let's say my name, and we'll change my age, like let me keep it 21. Okay, and then we will connect our data binding object with the UI variable. Okay, that is my name, and then equals to, so we will specify this my name to. Okay, why it's showing some error. Okay, yeah, no need of latent. Okay, yes, so we have declared the variable my name of type my name, that is our data class, and we have passed this data from at the time of declaring the variable, and this variable we have passed into the variable that we have declared into the UI. Okay, here it is my name, and it will transfer this name and age into the variable of data, a variable of the UI, and then it will display it into the UI. Okay, so yes, we have completed the data binding code here, and now we will run the code to see whether it displays the data or not. Here you can see I have removed the predefined or hard coded strings, and now it should display the data using the data binding. Okay, so I have already started my emulator, and within a second it should show the data, or it might take a time, because yes, it will take some time. No problem. So whenever you are using data binding, always keep in mind you have to make a data class. Okay, if you are using Kotlin, then your the lines of number of line of code will be decreased. But if you are using Java, then also the same concept, and in the same way you have to implement the data binding or the data class or the pojo class. And just in the same way you have to create the variable of data binding object and also the data class, and also connect both of them in order to pass the data to the UI. So these concepts are very much useful when you have many number of screens and you don't want your application to reload the view and the reference of the view again and again. It will always keep your data and also the UI updated, and it will notify the UI controller when to update the data and when not to. It will take some minutes, and because my processor is not such good processor, so it will take some time. If you are using a good processor like latest processors like 9 gen processors or 10 gen Intel processors, then it will load in just a minute, I guess. So till the application loads, does anyone have any doubts? Okay, I guess not. And I'll also show you one plugin that will help you to eliminate the find view by ID. And it is not using data binding, but you can directly call the ID which you have mentioned. Okay, so if my text view has ID of name text, then you can directly use the name text, and you can do any of the following operation, and you don't have to use this find view by ID or anything. You can directly reference your views. And yes, it is only available for Kotlin. That extension is not supported in Java. Okay, so the application will be installed. Okay, here is our output. You can see the data which we have passed in our data class, and that data class variable is passed into the variable of the UI, and the UI shows the same data we have passed. So yes, by using data class and uh, by mentioning the variables, you can achieve the data binding easily. But what if you want, this is the first part of data binding. We have just inputted some values in the data class and showed into the UI. But what if you want to implement some listeners like on button on click listeners or anything? For that we can also work out something, but for that we have to create an separate class. Okay, because here we are using data class, and there are we won't be declaring our class or methods out there. So for that I'll create a class. And okay, So before creating class, let's take a button and we will implement a click listener. Okay, button on click listener. Okay, let's take a button and we will, okay, yeah, let's change the text click me. Okay, and then let's constrain it. So top to the top of age text and start to start of age text, and also we will constrain it from the end to the end of age text. Okay, and okay, so it is close to the age text. Let us give some margin top 50 dp. Okay, it is aligned perfectly. And now we will create our class keyword, and let's name our class as click handler. Okay, class name should be in camel case. Okay, click handler, and then we will define a method.
Just a minute, guys. He'll be back. Some network issues.
Okay, guys, I was having some network issue. I'm back again. Okay, so is my screen visible?
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so we'll define the function and name it. We can, you can name it anything. Let me name it show toast. Okay, and then and to pass. Okay, so for showing the toast, we also have to mention the context of the application. So for that, I'll also pass some parameters in the class. Okay, where context of type context. Okay, and then we'll simply write toast dot make text. Okay, and then we'll pass the context and we'll specify a text like button clicked. Okay, and then toast dot length short dot show. Okay, so we have created a function inside a class, okay, in our main activity.kt. And now using the data binding concept, we will map this method using a variable. We will create a variable in our UI file, and then we will map that UI variable to our button. And when the button will be clicked, then this custom method will be called. Okay, so you can see we won't be using any find view by id for the button, and we'll be using data binding. Okay, so let me create a variable. variable. Let's name it handler. Okay, as it will be handling our click events, and we'll mention the type. Okay, so here you can see I haven't created any separate file. Instead of, I have created a class inside the main activity.kt. So we'll specify in main activity, then dot click handler. So click handler is our class name. Okay, and our UI variable handler is of type click handler class. Okay, so basically it is an object now. And then uh, on click, let's, okay, on the on click property we'll mention, we'll mention the our custom function. Okay, that is of show toast. Okay. Mm, okay, so first we will mention the UI variable, and whenever you want to access any variable, then you have to use the dot operator. But if you want to access any method, then you have to use the double colon, and then you have to mention the method name. Okay, okay, it is showing some error. Okay, okay, so for any method to work, we have to specify that it is being accessed by a view. Okay, so we will specify view of type view. Okay, because this method doesn't know which view is calling it. Okay, so now our error is gone, and now we'll run the application again, and we'll see. Where is my emulator? Okay, right there. So data binding is also a huge concept, but this basic understanding will enable you to complete all of the projects which uses data binding concept in the Android Study Jam program. It will take some time, but the wait is okay. We have to wait for some time. Yeah, okay. Gradle build is finished. We will terminate the previous session of the application, and now our application will be reinstalled. Okay, launching the activity. Okay, here you can see our button. Okay, which we have binded with and custom method that is show toast. Now we will click it. Okay, it does nothing. Why? Okay, let me reinstall the application. We'll first uninstall it. No, no, no. Okay, okay. And after data binding, we will move on to the view model. Okay, yes. Actually, I made a mistake. The button is not working because we haven't binded the main activity binding, that is of our data binding object, with the handler class. Okay, so just like we binded our my name, that is the data class, with the data binding object, we have to bind this click handler class also with the data binding object. Okay, and then we will mention the UI variable, that is handler equals to click handler, and then we will pass our application context. Okay, okay, now it will work. So always remember, even if you connect your UI variable with the class, or the uh, class file, okay, but you have to connect the data binding object and particular UI variables, otherwise your application won't respond, because the bridge between those UI variable and the classes is the data binding object. Okay, here you can see we have a toast button click, so it means our data binding with the button and with the events is working well. Okay, so this was a small example of data binding, and now we will move on to our next topic, that is view model. So what is a view model? So view model class is designed to store and manage UI related data in lifecycle conscious way, just like we stored this data in our the data of my name and age, okay, in our my name data class. Just like that, we have a view model, okay, which stores the data and manages UI related data in life cycle conscious way. So the view model class allows data to survive configuration changes. Okay, so configuration changes examples such as screen rotations. So whenever you rotate your screen from portrait to landscape, or even from landscape to portrait, what happens? The data the data in the UIs. Let's say you have an edit text, or any other counter variable, then it will refresh the particular activity when the screen orientation is changed, and your data will be completely lost. Okay, so to avoid such circumstances, view model concept is very useful when you want to store the UI data for a temporary period of time, and also the update the view model in background. Okay, so the Android framework manages the life cycle of UI controllers such as activities and fragments. Yes, so it works for both, whether you want to use the view model for activities or fragments. And also, the framework may decide to destroy or recreate the UI controller. Just like I said, whenever your orientation changes, it refreshes or recreates the entire structure again, and we have a data loss. Okay, so to avoid such circumstances, we have this concept view model, okay, which stores our data in a temporary way. So let's understand with an example. So we will close our this project, and then we will open a fresh project. Okay, and now we'll open our UI file also. Okay. So in the view model, what we'll do, let's take a button and let's keep this text view here. We'll add, we'll increment this text view's value whenever this button will be clicked. Okay, so we are making a simple counter. Okay, so first we'll name counter text, and let's name the button bt1. Okay, and we will change the text to add, and we will constraint. Okay, let's type in here 0 and text size of let's say 20 sp. No, we need some bigger fonts, 25 or let's say 30. Okay, it's enough. And then we will constrain our button width in respect to the text view. Okay, so to top, constrain top to top of counter text, which is the id for of our text view, and start to start of counter text, and also end to end of counter text. Okay, so views are aligned, but we need to mention some margin top 50 dp. Okay, so now it is perfectly aligned and all views are visible. Okay, so now let's create the simple counter function and we'll write the logic here. Okay, so we'll take the variables for the references. Okay, so where let's name counter text. First we'll create an integer variable equals to 0, which will save the counter incremented value, and then variable, let's say counter text of type of text view, and then we'll declare our button variable also, bt1 of type button. Okay, and now we'll be using the traditional find view by id method. Okay, okay, so as I was talking about a plugin which eliminates the use of find view by id. So how you can use that plugin, I will show you first. So for that you have to go to the module that is the build.gradle of the app level, and here at the top of this file there is a section of plugins, and here you have to specify this Kotlin Android extensions plugin. Okay, so which enables you to directly call the particular view using its id name. Okay, yes, okay, thank you, Mir. And now instead of using the traditional way, I'll be directly fetching those views, and also I will destroy these variables that I was going to use for the views. Okay, so instead of using that, I will directly call bt1 c. In suggestions it is written bt1 from activity mean.xml. Okay, so by using this extension you can directly reference the particular text view or any views in your activities. Okay, so it will eliminate the code. Okay, bt1 dot set on click listener. Okay, whenever the button is clicked, we want the text view to increment its value, and for that we will increment our number uh, counter. Okay, that is of type integer, so number plus plus, and then we will update our text view. So our text view name was counter text. Okay, here it is. So I'll just copy it and you see counter text dot, okay, counter text dot text equals to, we will update our text view with the value of this number counter, number dot, okay, wait a second, to string. Okay, so we'll convert the value of number into string for temporary period. Okay, so because our text view is of type text, so it will only accept the string values. So now we'll run our application and we'll see. Okay, let's run the application. Okay, it will take some time. And after this, I will show you what is the benefit of using view model, and also some disadvantages of not using it. Okay. Okay, so our application is launching. Okay, so it is successfully launched, and now let's see. Yes, our counter works perfectly, but I will show you what happens when the orientation of the screen changes. So it is in the portrait, and now we'll rotate it into the landscape mode. Just a second. Okay, so here you can see our phone, that is our emulator is rotated, and our values that we have, our counter variable has gone to 0. So the data that we have updated is being lost. So what happened when the orientation of the screen changed from the portrait to landscape, this activity was refreshed and the value of the number changed from 6 to 0 again, and it was displayed here. So uh, what it does, the activity life cycle uh, refreshes our activity, and the data which was previously that was 6 was again gone to the default value. Okay, so which should not been happening. But to overcome the this some of the disadvantages, or you can say some of the points of the UI controller, we have the concept of view model. Okay, so what does the view model do? Whenever your screen changes, the view model will be working in the background section. Okay, and it will store your the UI data for temporary period. Okay, and whenever your screen changes its orientation, the data won't be lost. Okay, so to implement view model, first we have to create a view model class. Okay, so for that we will simply create a Kotlin class. Okay, make sure you are not choosing the file. We have to go for the class, and then we have to specify any name. Let's say main activity. I will name it main activity view model. Okay, it's quite a big name for a class. Let's say main view model. Okay, and then we will extend it using the view model library. Okay, so to implement view model, first we have to use some dependencies. Okay, here is the dependency you have to implement, that is android x.lifecycle lifecycle view model and here is the version number 2.2.0. Okay, so in data binding, you have to just specify the build features, and you have to enable the data binding. But whenever you want to use the view model, you have to implement the specific dependency. Okay, you can get it from Android documentation. You will find it there in their website. And now our view model class is created by extending the view model. And what we will do, we'll put the business logic, okay, of this counter into our view model class. Okay, so I will remove it. I'll remove this, and then let's define a variable here, number equals to 0, and we will define a function. Okay, add, and what we'll do, we'll increment the value of number here. Okay, so this was our basic business logic behind the counter. And then we'll go back to the main activity.kt, and here we will create the object of our view model class. That is where, let's say, we will name the variable view model, and of type main, okay, equals to, just a second, okay, equals to view model provider. Okay, so we have to write the view model provider, and then we have to specify the context, that is this, the owner of this activity, this, and dot get, we will get the reference of our view model class, that is main view model, okay, class dot java. Okay, and our view model object is created successfully. And then we will call our method, okay, that is the add method, okay, add function from this main view model class, okay, into our on click listener when the button is clicked. So we'll use our object view model dot add, okay, it will call our add function. And then we will uh, update our text view, okay, that is counter text dot text equals view model dot number, because in our view model we have wrote the business logic, and whenever the add function will be called, the number will get updated. Okay, so whenever the orientation of an activity changes, and we are using a view model, then these variables and functions don't get refreshed, or it won't get back to its default form. Okay, it will get destroyed only after your application closes. Okay, so view model dot number dot to string, we have to convert it into type of string. And then we also have to specify when our application is loaded, because we have to specify this, we have to update our text view whenever the orientation is changed. So we will also specify before the button click. Okay, because the button click method, that is the set on click listener, will be called whenever the button is clicked. But we have to update our text view whenever the activity is refreshed, whether it is the another application comes in the focus area, or it goes to the background, and also whenever your application or your Android phone's orientation is changed. Okay, so let's run it. And now we won't be having any data losses. Okay, so we'll terminate our previous session and install. Okay, our activity is launched. Okay, now let's add some values. Let's keep it 7, and then we will change our orientation. Okay, here you can see our data is not lost because whenever the screen or our activity is refreshed, the value of the text view is again updated by the view model. Okay, because the view model is not refreshed and it stores our value of the UI temporarily. So this was the example of our view model, and you can see we are the value in the landscape mode is 15, and also when we will rotate our phone to the portrait mode, the value will be still same, 15. Okay, so this was an example of view model, and you can use view model in various cases, and also you can combinedly use data binding and view model together. Okay, so make sure you use these concepts and build and complete your applications within the code labs. Okay, and the next concept is live data, which will be taken by my co-facilitator Mihir Shah. Okay, so I would like to hand over the session to Mihir.
Thank you, Vishwas.
Okay.
Now I will start sharing my screen. Okay. Yes. Is my screen visible?
Yes, Mihir.
Okay. So live data. Live data is an observable data holder class. That means that whatever the data is being held in live data can be observed through observers, by which we can track its state, and we can make appropriate actions according to the state of the observer. Now, unlike regular observable, live data is life cycle aware. It means that it respects the life cycle of other app components such as activities, fragments, or services. Well, there are various life cycles which are like on destroyed, on called, on created methods, and this live data is aware of these methods. Thus, it makes the life easier for us to create and customize our apps according to these life cycle activities. Now, this awareness ensures live data only updates an app component of observers that there are in activity lifecycle state, active lifecycle state. This feature will help us prevent the data leaks. Um, well, now live data has two more parts to it, which are mediator live data and mutable live data. Mediator live data is a live data which is used to observe live data. So if we are making a project which where we are using multiple live datas and we want to keep track of these live datas, then we will use mediator live data to observe these live datas. And then is the mutable live data, which is an extension on live data, and it provides the functions like set value and post value as public methods, which are already present in live data as protected methods. And as in normal live data, we could only use them in the internal function. However, while using mutable live data, we can edit these values, and thus we have a particular use case of mutable live data where we want the user to actually change the value of the data. So now we'll take an example of mutable live data. Um, so is my emulator visible?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Mm.
So this is an app, and I have created a smart password calculator using live mutable live data. So as you can see in this password field, initially the lowercase, uppercase digits and special character are not selected or not highlighted. And here also there will be a text field later on. Well, I have created this 1, 2, 3, 4, and the text field and the text color as six mutable live datas. I have declared them over here. I'll just show the code. Yeah. So these are the 6 mutable live data of different types. So basically, this is the syntax where you give the name to the mutable live data, and here within the parentheses we declare the type of the live data. Okay, and now I'll just show what will this enable us to do. So when we start typing the password, for example, it is something like ABCD. As you can clearly see here, the lowercase is in green, which indicates that there is something in the lowercase. I'll just increase. Yeah, the lowercase is green and others are in red, which indicate that there are no uppercase characters, no special characters on digits. There are only lowercase, and the password strength is weak. Well, how do I define it as weak? Then there are some. Just a second. I'll just show the parameters through which I call them weak or yeah. So okay, yeah. So coming back to here, so when I start writing a digit, then the digit gets highlighted in green, which will indicate that the digit is being calculated. And now we'll add a special character, and we'll also add a capital character. Now, as I erase the capital character, the uppercase is being converted to red again, and the others remain the same. Now, I'll also erase the special character, and this happens instantaneously. This is the beauty of live data and mutable live data. Now, I'll just make it a longer password, and then it is showing as strong. Well, I'll just make you familiar with its code. So first of all, in the main activity, this is the edit text, which is the password text. Okay, and in the main activity, I am assigning it to the uh, with the attribute of add text change listener, and I'm assigning it to this class, which is declared here password calculator. Where in password calculator, I have extended it with text watcher class. Now it has some overridden functions which are compulsory to be executed, which are before text changed function, on text changed, and after text changed. Currently, we do not require to use the after text change function and also the before text change function. We only require to see what happens on the text when the text is changed. So what I do
So
is when it,
Mihir, there is
yes,
one doubt. So whenever the text is changed in the the text view,
yes.
it the the constraints will appear on the screen, right? It works like that way.
So as I remove the digits
Okay.
here, the digit is going back to red,
Okay. So
and
it will it will specify some of these constraints in green or red. Okay. And
yes,
in on text change method.
yes,
Okay. Using the on text change method, we have
context.
this functionality, right?
Yes, yes. So it will
Okay.
continuously look for the character which is being passed as character sequence to the on text change method. It will continuously look for has lower, which is a function to detect lower case letters A to Z, small a to Z, and it will check for has upper, has digit, and has special. These characters will be then indicated here in our yeah, as either red if it is not selected, and green if it is selected. Uh, okay. And then how do I define that they are weak, medium, strong, or bulletproof password? Then I have just set some basic criterias that if the password is 0 to 7 characters in length, then it is a weak password. If it is 8 to 10 character in length and has some either of lowercase, uppercase, digit, or special character, then it's a medium password. And then if it has more than one and it is in the range of 11 to 16, it's a strong password, and so on and so forth. We can customize this. Now, talking about how do we actually assign this password edit text with the text watcher. Then here in the main activity, I have declared this uh, a value which is of the type password calculator. The password calculator is the class defined here, which is extended with text watcher. Yes. So then I add the attribute to this edit text pass, which is this password edit text pass with the attribute add text change listener, and then I pass it with the password strength calculator. Okay. So now I'll teach you one bonus trick, which is how to change the color of this field when it is selected. So basically, this is a very good trick of the XML file. So here there are two kind of states for a particular widget. It is focused, that is, it is clicked. So if I click this edit text, then it is called as focused. So if the focus is true, that is, if it is clicked, then I am selecting this purple color primary, which is purple. And if it is not, if it is false, which is the default value of the state focused, then it is gray and white. So that will enable us to have this animation when we select the edit text. Yes, that's all from my side. I'll hand it over to Vishwas now.
Okay, thank you, Meher.
Thank you.
Okay, so guys, this was, these were the three topics that we are going to learn. Okay, and moreover, okay, so these were the three topics that were some that are included in the advanced Android application development. And using this, you can, you have to complete the applications and the study jams code labs, which are mentioned in the, the second track. And also, if you have any doubt, you can contact us using the, our contact numbers and email address. Okay, and once you have finished your code labs, and once you have, earned the badges after completing the quizzes, you can post it out or give a short, share some reviews, or share some photos of the application, or even you can showcase your badges on any social media platform. But don't forget to use the hashtag Android Study Jams, so we can, track you, and we can also see your progress. And also don't forget to tag DSC PDPU. Okay, and you can also tag me or Mihir. And also, if you want to learn more, you can go to, these blogs, that is the Medium Android Developer Medium blogs, and also official Android developers blogs. Okay, and also there are some sample codes available on the GitHub repository of the Android. And also, after tomorrow's session, so we are also having a back-to-back session also tomorrow, in which we'll be completing the second track completely. And in that session, we'll be covering some more advanced concepts. So after tomorrow's session, we'll be circulating some of the mails regarding the materials. And also we'll circulate some of the, Google forms for submitting your screenshots related to your achievements, because on the basis of the badges earned, you will get the certification. Okay, so till then, if you have any doubt, you are welcome. You can contact us anytime. Okay, so I hope you understand this. These three main concepts. Okay, on in which they are the basically fundamentals on which you will be building many cool applications. Okay, so make sure you have to complete this program, and till 25th January. Before that, or else you can, if you are not able to complete, don't worry, you can continue it even after the 25th January. But the main disadvantage is you won't be eligible for the certification. Okay, so make sure to complete the study jams program before 25th January. Till then, work hard and do concentrate on each and every code labs, and also see what they are explaining in each and every line. Okay, so don't mug up or rush up everything. Okay, so we'll meet in next lecture, next session. Okay, So till then, bye bye everyone. Thank you for your time.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you.